We stay with the middleweights now to bring you last night's contest with the British Championship at stake. Neville Brown has been a worthy successor to the likes of Simpson, Minter and Harold Graham, and was putting the title on the line for the second time. His opponent, Antonio Fernandes, a Lonsdale belt at stake for Brown, and Jim Neely saw this fight too.
3 rounds gone in this British middleweight title fight, and the challenger, the man in black, Antonio Fernandes from Birmingham, has made slightly the better start. Not much between them in the first round. And Neville Brown, the champion, looking for his Lonsdale belt, and this is second defence. Got caught a couple of times with decent right hands from Fernandes, and will need to really sharpen himself up a little bit. And I think that advice has been passed on to Neville Brown, the man in red, and he's come forward a little bit more aggressively in this fourth round. Interesting style from Fernandes, the right hand held right up in the air, and that's the one that's come across and has landed a few good shots. Good right from Brown. His footwork has been first class. He's a very accomplished boxer. A minute gone in the fourth. And much more aggressive this time from Neville Brown, and for the first time Fernandes has been put on the back foot. Brown finding it difficult to get inside the longer arms of Antonio Fernandes, and that crouching style of Brown's doesn't help at all. He's got to really launch himself to get inside. Then they go back to the holding again, and Fernandes has got Brown's arm underneath his left. Brown trying to come inside very quickly. He's not giving Fernandes a chance to shorten those punches the way he was doing in the first couple of rounds. Good footwork by the challenger, Fernandes. Fernandes' professional debut way back in March 1987. He stopped David Heath in 5 rounds and lost his second contest to one Darren Hobson, and won 7 of the next 8. The only loss coming to another very good middleweight, Sean Cummins. Well, Mickey Duff in the background can be heard saying to Dave Parrish he's holding him again, and Mickey Duff has got that right. Dave Parrish, an experienced referee, gives them as much as they can into the final half minute of the fourth round. A slightly better round this for Brown. But it's been a scrappy sort of a contest so far, and only the occasional flurry. And very few good punches thrown to date. Fernandes trying to get inside with the uppercut, and again there's a bit of holding going on, and both guilty of that. Yeah, Dave Parrish, I think, starting to get slightly annoyed with this, because this is a British title fight after all, and he expects a little bit more in the way of discipline from these two boxers. And Antonio Fernandes looking calm and composed, and must be pretty pleased with his first 4 rounds of boxing for this British title. A third of the contest is gone. Remember, it's a British middleweight title fight scheduled for 12 rounds. Good start. First blow struck in the beginning of the 5th by the defending champion, Neville Brown, from Burton-on-Trent. Took a bronze medal, Neville Brown, in 1987 in the European Championships, and was at the end of a very bad decision against the useful Enrico Richter of East Germany in the semi-finals. A lot of people thought that Brown had won that and might have gone on to take either silver or gold. Well, now Dave Parrish really has got quite sharp with both of them, and in particular Fernandes, whom he's spoken to about holding. Fernandes does have a good left jab and doesn't really need to be doing that holding technique. Brown pushing down a little bit with his right hand to the back of Fernandes's head. Just a single jab. That was the left-right combination, and this time Brown came back well with a left of his own. Didn't make full contact. Brown at this stage, in the middle of the 5th round, needs to up the pace ever so slightly. He's allowed Fernandes to do most of the dictating. Fernandes using the ring very nicely. Both making contact with short jabs. And Fernandes being first to the punch. A minute to go. That's better from Brown, the champion, who gets his man with a left hand, but can't follow it up. Good defense that time by Brown. Fernandes' right hand is going too far past the head of the champion Brown. Well, again, it's Brown who's scoring. And Fernandes, as he has done for most of the early rounds in this contest, puts in a good finish. Brown gets his man. Lovely footwork by Fernandes coming off the ropes, almost into his own corner. There was never going to be very much between these two, looking at their respective records. And there won't be, but Fernandes may just be ever so slightly ahead. And Mickey Duff looks a little bit on the cross side and is having a fair old word with Neville Brown, giving him a bit of a chin wagging. And it's an altogether different scene over in the Fernandes corner. They look nice and calm. An awful lot of grease going on that face of his. I wonder will Dave Parrish allow that.
Second out, round 6.
Neville Brown at the start of this 6th round will have to increase the tempo, because it could well be that Antonio Fernandes, real name Antonio Golding, the man from Birmingham, the challenger in black, 29 years old. He'll be 30 on the 3rd of January, 1995. Has got his nose ever so slightly in front. Most of the work has been done behind that good left jab, and occasionally the right hand has come over and has caught Brown. And that a perfect example of just why Fernandes may well be ahead. Neville Brown, just 2 defeats in 26 professional contests. One a surprise defeat, a very surprise defeat by Paul Wesley. In July of 1991, he was stopped in the 1st round and caught cold. And more recently, in July of this year, he was stopped in 7 rounds in a challenge for the European title. Well, this is great stuff from Fernandes. That left hand really is popping away into the face of the champion, Neville Brown, and is picking up points. And there's very little at this stage that Brown seems to be able to do about it. But there's still a fair way to go in this contest. We're just coming up to halfway. Antonio Fernandes is not boxing like a man who's only had 4 professional fights in just over 2 years. And this round will certainly go to Antonio Fernandes. There's a minute of it to go. The right hand not landing on the shoulder of Brown. Brown trying to work in close to the body with that left hook of his. One of leaning on by Fernandes, and Dave Parrish says watch the head as well. Good footwork by the challenger yet again. This is his best round by far. There's that nasty swelling underneath the left eye of Neville Brown. So 29 years old, Fernandes. looking reasonably comfortable and in control at this stage. Just about 10 seconds to go to the end of the 6th, and that's the halfway stage. And it's a halfway stage that Neville Brown, I think, will have to really take notice of, because he's lost the opening 50% of this fight, I've no doubt. And Brown with a most peculiar hairstyle. I wonder how long it took to affect that. And again goes back, and again harsh words from Mickey Duff. And the scene in the Fernandes corner is, by comparison, one of calm. And they'll be very pleased with the performance of their man so far. Well, not bad defense at all by Brown, and interestingly the hand was up and none of those shots really got through.
Seconds out, round 7.
Neville Brown, the defending British middleweight champion, has a fair old bit to do. Dave Parrish's card will is kept tucked away in his hip pocket. Well, I've a feeling, say, that Antonio Fernandes, the challenger, the man in black, is ahead. And Brown, who denied Frank Grant a Lonsdale belt outright when he beat him in November of last year to take the title, could well be facing something similar, unless he can step up the pace a little bit and start finding his man, because Fernandes, with that left jab, has dominated this contest so far. Brown again complaining about a clash of heads, which looked accidental. The advice to Fernandes from his corner towards the start of the round was let him lead, let him come to you. And that bruising underneath the left eye of Brown seems to be worsening. An awful lot of grease on the face of Fernandes, which referee hasn't really spotted, or if so, he's decided that he's happy enough with it. Well, there's an air of confidence now about Fernandes. There's a little hop and a skip in the middle of that sequence. And Brown wipes off some of the grease on his gloves. A minute to go to the end of the 7th, and this really has turned out to be a very good fight between two seasoned professionals. Almost 50 contests between them. It's a great chance for Fernandes to take his first British title. He lost in an eliminator to Darren Griffiths in October of 1992, and he's just had 4 fights since then. And Brown hasn't found his rhythm. He's a very good, accomplished boxer, but he's been frustrated by Fernandes. Well, a good little sequence, and most of the scoring done by the challenger Fernandes. Last few seconds of the 7th. And again, you'd have to say that was Fernandes's round. The crowd here in Cannock really appreciating what has turned out to be not a bad fight, a little bit scrappy at times. Danny Mancini working hard. No real damage to the face of Brown, but a lot of swelling. Well, that was a great jab. And Fernandes did well enough to get out of it. Brown caught him with a right, but the initial hard punch was from the challenger.
Seconds out, round 8.
5 rounds to go. Neville Brown's British middleweight title very much on the line. The Lonsdale belt will be his should he defeat the challenger Antonio Fernandes. But at this stage, Fernandes could well pull off something of a domestic upset. The one opponent that they have in common is Paul Wesley, who scored a surprise knockout against Brown in July of '91, and Fernandes has beaten him twice. First of all, to take the Midlands middleweight title in March of '92, and then he stopped Wesley in 3 rounds to retain that title in July the following year. So that is a pretty interesting yardstick, and just perhaps underlines the occasional vulnerability of Neville Brown. A minute gone on the 8th, and Fernandes leaning on yet again. Mind the heads from Dave Parrish. Fernandes just poking out a tentative left, and the intent would seem to be that he was going to bring a right over. Clash of heads again, and Dave Parrish had a good look at the face of Antonio Fernandes, and they are rubbing together rather dangerously. And for the first time, Fernandes coming under a bit of pressure, and there seems to be a cut somewhere. And Fernandes looks as if he will maybe cut. And the left eye has opened up, and that really is bad news for the challenger, Antonio Fernandes, because he's dominated this fight all the way through. And all of a sudden, Neville Brown seems to have come back into it. There's a greater urgency in his work with a minute left of this, the 8th round. Right hand from Fernandes wasn't too far away. The second one missed. Good footwork by the challenger, and he's just mopping a little bit of blood away from the corner of his eye. And there's the heads banged together again, and Neville Brown certainly stepped in. I'm not sure whether that was deliberate or not. Half a minute to go, and the referee has a look at the face of Fernandes, who got caught with another right hand. And Brown, having got himself fairly well behind on points, maybe realizes that he's going to have to stop this contest if he's going to win his Lonsdale belt outright. And Fernandes, all of a sudden, for the very first time, starts to wobble. He has never been knocked down in his career. All his defeats, 5 of them, have come on points. And that's a better round by the champion, and he walks confidently back to his corner for the first time, and he's left it very late indeed. But there'll be concern in the Fernandes corner, and there's very definitely a cut around that left eye, and they're working hard on that. The adrenaline solution will be applied, and they'll try to stem that, and that's a very nasty cut indeed. So Fernandes in trouble. He needs to try to survive. He's done remarkably well. If he can just hold on, he may have built up a sufficiently good points lead to take this title. But there was a clash of heads there, and although Fernandes came back, the damage had already been done. Brown stepping up the pace. Good right hand by Brown, and followed up with a good left. And for the very first time, Fernandes under fierce pressure.
Round 9.
Eight rounds gone. This is the 9th. And Antonio Fernandes, the challenger, who looked so comfortable and in control at the end of the 8th round, got caught a couple of times. There was the odd bang of heads, and that certainly won't have helped. And Neville Brown really trying to put everything into this. He'll have to take the last 5 rounds, or perhaps stop his man. Good right hand from the champion, and Fernandes starting to wobble. And it's all gone wrong for Fernandes. It was Brown who was under pressure, looking perhaps altogether too casual. But now it's the champion, the man in the red trunks, Neville Brown, from Burton-on-Trent. And again the heads go in. Brown working hard inside with the left hand. And Fernandes trying to bounce up and down to try to get some spring back, and again gets caught with a right, and again the heads rub together. Blood on the lip of Fernandes now. And he is very badly cut. Well, Brown's punching not desperately accurate, but he's coming forward all the time. And Dave Paris has brought Fernandes over, and he's going to have a look. He's going to get them to have a look at it. And Paris himself can stop this if he wishes. That is a bad cut. And he's brought them together again. So Neville Brown, realizing the Lonsdale belt is very much within his grasp on a permanent basis, and you can see the look that the referee is giving in the direction of Antonio Fernandes. That cut around the side of his left eye is has opened up and is bleeding very badly. And it's a question now of survival to the end of the round for Fernandes, and hope that the corner can do something. And Dave Paris has said no, he's not going to allow him that luxury. Neville Brown goes down in the canvas as if he's been poleaxed. He hasn't been poleaxed. He's won himself a Lonsdale belt, but my goodness, he really had to work hard for it. He was well behind on points, and desperate disappointment for a very, very good challenger who had the champion in all sorts of trouble for most of the opening 8 rounds. A little bit of acrobatics there from Neville Brown, who'll be delighted that the Lonsdale belt will be put round his waist, and he'll be able to keep it, the first British middleweight since Harold Graham a few years ago. I don't think Brown will be all that terribly pleased with his performance, but he'll be pleased with the result as Brown retains his title and gets the Lonsdale belt outright.
Well, he got out